Hey friend, this is episode 501 of the And So podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents And So with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
And so,
Hello, welcome to episode 501. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford. Y'all, I am really struggling with allergies. I cannot get over, I'm so over being sick. And I'm struggling with allergies this morning, so super nasally. That's awesome. We're going to keep going because, that's what we do. That is what we do. I have lots to share with you today. Oh my goodness. And you're going to love this week's nugget. It's a good one. So let's dive into the topics. First up, let's check in with what I've been reading. So I'm not quite finished with Emily Giffen's The Summer Pact. I'm about 54% through. It's good. I am really enjoying it, but I find that I am flying through audiobooks faster than I can sit down and read, and that's frustrating because I do read really fast, but finding time to sit down and read. Now I do every night. I try really hard every night to make a point to sit down and read. So I'm still working my way through Emily Giffen's The Summer Pact. I just finished Ina Garten's book, Be Ready When the Luck Happens, a memoir. Oh, it was so good. I listened to it on audio. Ina reads it. Oh man, I didn't know any of that about Ina, and it was quite lovely. It was quite lovely. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I also finished up Sophie Kinsella's What Does It Feel Like? Very short book, as I mentioned last week. And it actually is about her own life and finding out she has a brain tumor in real life. And she wrote a story about her own story, which was really kind of powerful. So I really enjoyed that one. I am now working my way through the audio version of Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. We're not going to say the word because I don't want to have to turn this particular episode into explicit. And I am not understanding what is going on in this book. I thought you're supposed to be teaching me something. So far, I have not been taught anything, and I'm 70% through. So TBD, I'll give you an update next week as to what I learned. But so far, Mark, I haven't learned anything. And that's what self-help books are for, right? You're supposed to learn something. There's supposed to be a nugget somewhere. So, Mark, I'm disappointed. So that's what I've got going on right now in the land of reading. So you know how last week I told you that I hired somebody and she started. What I wasn't able to tell you, which I can now tell you, is that she quit. She quit on the morning of day 2, and she was in tears. So let me cue up the story, because as a small business owner trying to hire people to do the jobs that you're wanting them to do, first, it's a struggle, right? It's a struggle. It is not easy bringing on someone. First of all, it's not easy to find strength in yourself to be I need to hire somebody, whether that's from a financial standpoint or a fear of you letting go. Let's set all that aside. I worked through that a long time ago, and I've had assistants, and I am glad I was able to work through those things a long time ago. But I know that I need an assistant, which is why I need to hire for one. And I didn't get red flags when I hired this one. But let's walk through. First of all, let's cue up the story, and then we're going to look back at what I witnessed but didn't make sense until she quit. So I am stuck down the road. I'm about 5 minutes away, and she messages me and says she's there, but she can't get in. And I was like, well, no, duh. I said yesterday that I didn't get a gate code for you, and so it's not going to work. There's no code in my gate for you to use to open the gate. So I was like, hey, I'm just 5 minutes down the road. Well, then I got hung up in the traffic that's down the road because they're working on the road, and they've taken it down to one lane, and my road is very, very busy. It's an industrial road. And so, yeah, so I was delayed a little bit further, but I got there. And I got out and I was like, hey, how are you? And the first thing I noticed, I didn't notice her crying right away, but the first thing I noticed is she has nothing in her hands. And the day before, she came in with her purse and her lunchbox. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Okay. So I get in, I get my alarm turned off. I turn around and she is in bucket tears. And I'm like, oh, what's wrong? And she said, I suffer from panic attacks and anxiety, and I've been having panic attacks and I can't stop them. I can't do this job. And I'm like, oh, like, how are you supposed to react to that? Like, I don't want to, like, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she was like, I can't do this job. I'm like, okay. And she's like, is there anything I could do for you? And I'm like, no, not really. And she was like, okay. And I said, well, let me get you paid for yesterday. And she's like, no, it's okay. I was like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, no, it's okay. Is there anything I could do for you? I'm like, no. And then she leaves. So I am befuddled. I'm befuddled at this exchange. And I'm like, what went wrong? And I honestly don't know what went wrong. But as I started to process and then look back at the previous day's events as they unfolded, the very first thing that I thought was strange, so I'm onboarding, which means you're sitting at the desk and we are walking through where everything lives on the computer, where we store photos, how we categorize photos, what project management system we use. And then I go through like the day-to-day and what each button is and what the task list is and so on and so on. And we're sitting there for a couple of hours, and I had provided her a notebook so she could take notes. And I kind of paused, like, we weren't into all of this information, which is a lot of information to take in. We weren't into that information that far in. And I'm like, hey, do you want to take some notes? And then I'm like, do you have questions? Like, I kept pausing and asking, do you have questions? And there were no note taking and there were no questions. And so I just kept propelling forward, all the while thinking, why are you not taking notes? This is a lot of information to retain. Like, I don't like repeating myself. So I'm really not understanding why you're not taking notes, but okay, so I'm just going to go with the flow. So we get through that portion of the onboarding and I say, okay, so I haven't finished napkins and laundry from the last event that I did. So let's work on getting the napkins out of the dryer. Let's look them over for any lingering stains. And then we need to do a napkin count. And then I say that I've got some other napkins that I'd really like to know what my counts are because I don't have that information anywhere. So let's work on that too. So all we did in the remaining time, she was there for a total of 6 hours. She took a 15-minute quote unquote food break. And all we do is napkin counting and putting away of napkins and sorting napkins. That is all we do. And I am with her the entire day except for the last 30 minutes when my husband comes in and one of my sales guys comes in. And I have to exchange with them. Like, I have to interact with both of them because one of them needs my attention. The other one really doesn't. And so I'm like 30 minutes, she's on her own, which is not a big deal. All she's doing is counting napkins and sorting them by color. And that's it. And then at the end of the day, she comes in while I'm talking to my salesperson and she's just kind of standing there. And I said, hey, you can take a seat right there. I'll be right with you. And she's like, oh, no, I'm done for the day. I was like, oh, okay. And she said, I just need to get my things and clock out. And like the way she left was odd. The way she left was odd. And even in our exchanges, in our dialogue, like I was wanting to know more about her. So what are your hobbies? Well, I really like to read, but I kind of got away from it because I'm tired all the time. But I'm trying to really get back into reading. And I'm thinking to myself, girl, you don't do anything. What's making you tired all the time? Like, I don't understand what's making you tired. But so I thought that was a weird comment. And then we're talking about reading, and she tells me she loves mystery books and true crime. And I'm like, oh, me too. And so we're talking about books and things. So all in all, the next day when she quits, I start looking back at the things that I had like tucked away, thinking to myself, well, that was odd. Well, that was odd. And something occurred, like she was yawning all day long and not apologizing. I mean, if you're tired, okay, but like it was extensive yawning. And then occasionally she would pull out her phone, me mid-sentence, check it, send a text, and then put it back away. And I was like, well, that was rude. And then whatever happened in the last 30 minutes is, I think, what sealed the deal for her. And then she came in the next day. So I don't know how onboarding, sitting at a desk with a computer and me like walking through what, like what the task list is, where things are. I gave a very lengthy tour of the warehouse and like how I organize things, etc. And then we play with napkins. So I don't know how any of that triggered a panic attack, because none of it was out of left field. In my 2-hour interview with her, I was very detailed about what the job was and reiterated it over and over and over. And I feel like by the end of it, she just wanted to play with the pretty without direction. Because she made a comment at the end of our interview that I'm now recalling as I'm talking about this. I just wanted to see what was inside your warehouse. I was like, okay, well, that comes later, but like yeah. Anyways, so that was so disappointing. What's even wilder is my exchange with Indeed. So after she quit, I immediately turned my job listing back on via Indeed, and I had an Indeed person call me right away, which I was like, what? This is weird, right? And so he was trying to be helpful, but also trying to be very salesy. And the helpful part I appreciated. He was like, hey, I see you turned your job listing back on. Let me walk you through how to like make it not say that this job listing is 3 months old, which may affect how you attract new people to the job listing. I'm like, oh, hey, I didn't know that. Thank you for that tip. So he walks me through how to do that. And then he starts talking to me about my spend, my daily spend. And I was like, I'm not going to have this conversation with you because I'm actually really kind of pissed off that you require small business owners to pay to play up against corporate giants that have budgets to go out and find good people. Like, this is ridiculous that I have to even spend $10 a day to get my listing in front of the right humans in my area. Like, that shouldn't be a thing that a small business owner has to do. And I am not happy about it. And he kept saying, well, if you spent $31 a day, and I'm like, I am telling you this one last time and do not bring it up again. We are not talking about money because I am pissed off about the fact that I have to spend it to find a good candidate. Like, there's no reason. Anyone that says their corporation or their company is 1 to 5 employees, there's no reason we should have to pay to get into your national search database for job listings. Like, this is stupid. And I said, I am running another Indeed profile seeking a sales person for my roofing, and you required me to pay to play. You required it because I am calling it a sales position. I think that is incredibly stupid as well. Like, again, I'm a small business. So, Oh, that really rankled me, but I appreciated the tip on how to, turn a job listing back on, but refresh it so it's brand new and not 3 months old. So thank you for that, but piss off about like me paying money to find people. It's stupid. Oh, let's also talk about group interview fails. So I was really hopeful that I could have group interviews for these sales positions. And I got ghosted on all of them. And then I had one who currently works for a car dealership. This is why car dealers get bad names. This human right here. So my instructions say to click this link, which is a link to get to the Zoom interview, to click this link to basically reserve a spot for you to be in the group interview, and then you will get the actual link. So I waited 20 minutes on the Zoom for 2 humans that didn't bother to show up or message me. And then about an hour later, I'm checking back in to see if there's been any new candidates apply. And I see a message from one of those guys, the guy that was the used car or the car dealer dude. And just he's in sales, which is why people hate used car salesmen or even new car salesmen. So he's in sales. And boy, does he have the personality to go with it. So the first question he says, I see like an exchange of him rescheduling the interview for the next hour or the hour right after the one he missed. And I was like, why would I reschedule an interview? There was literally no communication. And so then he messages and says, hey, what's up with the Zoom interview? And I said, you missed it. And he said, no, I never got a link. You didn't call. And I was like, I'm not going to call. It's Zoom. You're not going to get a notification that I'm calling you. That's not how Zoom works. He's like, no, I know that, but I didn't get a link. I've been sitting here since 12 o'clock. And I'm like, no, you haven't. Because if you even remotely wanted to be in that interview, you would have been blowing me up right away. Hey, I'm not seeing how to get into the Zoom. Like, I'm here, but you're not here. Like, what am I doing wrong? None of that exchange happened. And I was like, go read the instructions I sent to you. I did read the instructions. No, you didn't, because you didn't follow them. And like, he got so belligerent with me. Fine, I will just go look for another job. Like, if you can't make this work, why would I want you working for me? I don't deal with people like you. Like, you're going to represent my small business? Absolutely not, sir. Go back to wherever you came from. Like, no. Can you read? And I was like, go back up and read the message. What does it say? What does it say? It says to reserve your spot, and then you will receive a link. I never got a notification that you reserved your spot, so why would you have gotten a link? You wouldn't have, because you didn't follow directions. We have a problem in society. People don't read things, so that's fun. So I have squashed group interviews. I am now going to have them come in person. I have kind of some feeler questions that immediately go out when somebody applies, and I'm waiting for them to answer those questions. So that's an automation. And then if they're serious and they follow directions, then I'll move forward in like sending them a link to schedule an interview. So that's where we are. I do have an interview today. I did already have an interview for Sugar Creek yesterday, and I've got 2 more today, 1 more next week, and I've got a few more applications to work through. My internet has not been working at the shop, and it hasn't been working since Friday. That's another frustrating point because everything we do is online. And so I feel like even though I can hotspot my phone, I don't have the greatest cell phone reception over there. So I do really rely on internet and Wi-Fi. And nobody could help me yesterday. They were like, it's with the appropriate team. They're working on it. I'm like, nobody's reached out to me to give me an update. I asked for a supervisor to call. I haven't received that. So they may get Warpath Taylor today because not having internet is not okay. Like, not having internet is not okay. And to not even schedule an appointment to come out and check my satellite dish and all of my components that you gave me. Yeah, they're going to get Warpath Taylor today. I was trying to be so nice yesterday, but Not having internet is an epic fail. Epic fail. Okay, back to the quitter. It cost me $157 on Indeed to hire her. That's what I spent to hire her. And thankfully, I didn't pay her. She would have made $108 for the work she did. I did buy shoes for her, and thankfully I was able to cancel those. I nearly bought shirts for her, which would cost me $150. It is expensive to hire somebody. It's expensive. And so when they quit, it's expensive. Okay. As a friendly reminder, we're celebrating quick wins every day over here, and I want you to celebrate them with me. So don't forget to message me or send me an email. I've heard from so many of you already when you have a quick win that you want to celebrate. So please continue to do that. Just friendly reminder, I want to celebrate them with you. So DM me over at Boss Girl Creative on Instagram or send me an email. And I actually sent out an email this last week in celebration of 500 episodes, and a few of you responded, and I so appreciate that because, I just struggled to do everything right and on time, and here we are. So yeah, I would love to celebrate your quick win, so definitely do that. Oh, you can also leave me an audio message and celebrate a quick win with me that way, bossgirlcreative.com/speak. Leave me an audio message, share that quick win with me. I'd appreciate that. All right, let's get into this week's weekly nugget. We're going to continue to talk about seeking joy daily and practicing that main character energy that we should all be practicing on the daily, because that is going to help us seek joy. So let's talk about romanticizing your life, because listen, we only get one. We only get one life, and we shouldn't be waiting for special occasions to do celebrations or to have celebrations. So how we romanticize our lives, we focus on our own goals, we focus on achieving our goals, we embrace change, we learn new things that will help us to grow into the best versions of ourselves. And doing things with intention and purpose, like that has been a mission for me for a really long time. Doing things with intention, finding beauty in the day-to-day, in the little things, and practicing gratitude. Doing things that make you excited about life. Infusing a sense of romance and enchantment. That is how you romanticize your life. So here are some tips for you to seek joy daily, to break out that main girl energy, that main character energy. So number one is embracing your main character energy, because life is your story. You are the main character, and the humans that you allow to orbit around you help support that main character, and vice versa. So don't wait for a special occasion to take charge of the narrative that is your life, whether that is dressing up, getting dapper, getting cute, wearing your favorite scent. It's truly, and you've heard me say this in the past, rolling out your own red carpet daily. That's tip one. Tip two, treating yourself, whether that is a cup of specialty coffee that feels indulgent or your favorite matcha latte, a fancy piece of chocolate or a bar of chocolate, being like Miley Cyrus and buying your own flowers because we can. Or be like me and plant a cottage garden to stroll through. Like that is one of the things that I am working towards, having a cut flower garden. Cultivating a habit of celebrating your quick wins. That is why I think it is so important to share them with someone and let that someone be me. I would love to be your cheerleader in your day today. Tip number 3, skincare and wellness. Actually investing in time and products and treating yourself and creating a skincare routine that feels like a pampering ritual. Taking the time to appreciate your body through meditation and movement. Like, take purposeful time to do those things. Tip number 4, investing in self-care. You know, that is one of my pillars. Self-care is so incredibly important. Allocating time to activities that bring you joy, whether that's reading a book, practicing a hobby, spending time outside. Tip number 5, using expensive things. I just have a quick little tidbit here. Chad and I received a new set of knives several Christmases ago. I'm embarrassed to say it's probably been 6 years minimum that we received these knives. And I saved them. I saved them for a time in my life when I would move into a new house. And then I was going to bring them out and get excited and use the knives. Here we are at minimum 6 years later, if not longer. And I finally decided to break out the knives. Partially because I didn't have a bread knife and I was really hoping there was a bread knife in the knife block. There was, thankfully. So now the knives are out. The knives are out. Don't save the best for last. Don't be like me. Don't save the best for last or wait for the perfect moment because you're just going to keep waiting. Don't be like me. Use the expensive things now. Enjoy them now. Tip number 6, curate and tailor your surroundings. Surround yourself with beautiful things that bring you joy and happiness. Invest in quality home decor or go relove an antique piece that's sitting in the antique shop or the thrift store. Add fresh flowers to your space. Declutter your space. There are ways that you are able to tailor your surroundings that will just bring you joy. And then number 7, capture the moment. Take the photographs. Journal the memories. Reflecting on the yesterdays can serve as a reminder of the richness of your life, helping you appreciate the romanticized journey that you walk daily. Life is meant to be cherished every single day. And that is my greatest wish for you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Again, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me audio feedback or let's share a quick win with me. Go to Boss Girl Creative over on Instagram. Send me an email or leave me an audio message, bossgirlcreative.com/speak, because I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one. And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.